This video is going to be about extraterrestrials in our universe. I just clicked record, but I have so much on my head. So I'm going to just get it out in these videos with me practicing demonolatry, as I refer to myself as the DEMONOLOTROR. I really am a mystery. I'm not better than anybody, and nobody's better than me, so with that being said, let's get into it. Let's talk about jinn. I'm really fascinated by that. I mean, it's good to have a good knowledge and understanding about things, even though we'll never have the amount of knowledge we're supposed to have. But it's good to have a good understanding about the unseen and a lot of other things, because being confused in this world with the distractions of so many illusions will drive you insane. With me being the DEMONOLOTROR. But yeah, the DEMONOLOTROR, SATHARIEL. But seriously, the unseen, these jinn. Look, this here is Belial. This is Astaroth. And then I have SATHARIEL with me. I have Lucifuge and my guardian back there. Since I found out about my guardian, I've been trying to figure out a name for him, but I still can't. So I'm working on that. I'm working on it, and he understands. They're all in black every time, and their hood's covered. Their presence, anything I need, they're here. But let's talk about jinns from the Muslim perspective, right? It's forbidden to deal with jinn if you're a Muslim, of course. And it's like, that reason is because they believe the jinn can twist things, which they can. I mean, everyone can. But in a sense of illusions, they can destroy you and make you think whole time they're helping you. So that's why it's really forbidden, because they think they once you're in, like I said, they'll make you think they're helping you in the beginning and then in the end. But it's all how you approach them, because it's like a lot of these celebrities and shit that go crazy, so the term selling your soul, it's like, from a Muslim perspective, it's like you're doing everything the jinn wants. Like, you're going to caves, you're getting naked, you're sitting in your poop and your piss for days and shit like that. It does go to the extent to that, but that's nothing I've experienced. So, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do, then, that's them. But, you get to a certain point and you wanna back out of that. That's tricky, because it's like, you know what you're signing up for, whatever contract they signed. If you don't read the contract, if you didn't make it yourself, then, I mean, that is on you. You have to read. You definitely have to read. You don't want to be signing over something that you don't know of. But there's some very powerful ifrits that exist, and some people are naive enough not to think so. But I mean, you believe what you want to believe. It's just very interesting, because they move at the speed of light. They tell you information from other places that you wouldn't be able to go in like a split second. So, like, for example, Well, let me actually not say that, you know, because the idea about jinns is not to scare people, is to get an understanding of the unseen and how it's affecting you or us, you know. So, for example, back in the day, in let's talk about Babylon, where magic really emerged, you know. So magicians, of course, they would be in contact with the jinn, right? But these jinns, everybody's like, well, how would they get the information, and it would be accurate? So the jinns, what they were used to do, like they were able to go, they would like fly up to the stars in the heavens, and they would listen to the angels' conversations, and they'd bring it back and tell the magicians bits and pieces of what they heard from the heavens and the stars and stuff like that. But there was a revelation. This is all from the Muslim perspective, by the way, just to make that clear. When there was a revelation that Allah made, and he put in the Quran, he said he stopped it basically. The jinns, when they would try to go up to the stars and listen, they would find shooting stars waiting for them. Basically, you know, they're dead. Like basically, when they would try to come up and listen, God, he changed it. He started, you know, they started dying, because that means you can't go up to the stars in the heavens anymore to listen to these conversations and tell these magicians bits and pieces of what you heard. So, but I mean, like I said, that's where the word discernment really comes in as a magician. Like when these jinns and these entities are telling you things, a lot of it does come true, but you know, you gotta know how to react off of what they're telling you, and how to really wield it into your life. Yeah. Because if you wield it correctly, hey, it won't. It's not going to be any type of harm to you, because, you know, you're prepared for it. But, the DEMONOLOTROR. I am Mr. DEMONOLOTROR with my 5 powerful ifrits with me. Ifritul, a new term we just made. Ifritul music. Ifritul knowledge is what's being revealed. You see, these jinns live for thousands of years. So that's why a lot of this information they tell magicians it's nothing new. They carried it from way back. You know, these jinns are ancient, especially a lot of these powerful ifrits. But a lot of the good jinn, you won't see them come in contact with human, because being in contact with the jinn is forbidden. I mean, really, if we talk about this term religion, a lot of religions forbid the forbidden to even do that, to speak to the other side, you know, because it's like a lot of people do use it for evil, which is totally understandable. You know, I wouldn't be surprised myself if I got to that point, but like I said, I'm not on that. I'm looking for acknowledgement, and I don't really have to discuss why, but like, you know, I love knowledge, and knowledge is not only power. Knowledge is self-advancement, self-empowerment, self-love. Man, that's the Roth Belio. And Satan, man. You know, whatever you believe in, you always gotta thank it. You gotta acknowledge it. You gotta be grateful. A lot of us are ungrateful because, we just do a lot of things until we lose it or until something bad happens. But yeah, you always gotta be conscious of that. I've never been able to make money so easily like this in my life. I've never experienced this type of knowledge. So like growing up as a Muslim, right? Like, yeah, you learn about a lot of the prophet stories. You learn so much. Like, and you have to do it yourself as well. You can't. So, growing up as in a Muslim household, right? They take you to Duksi. Duksi means like Quran school. So we would go, like, me and my sisters. We would go like every weekend. Sometimes we went every day. Like we went like every day after school, but like when I was in Senegal for 2 years as a kid, me and my sister would go pretty much every day after school. But you learn a lot. You learn about these prophet stories. You learn like wudu. Wudu means like taking ablution. Like you cleanse yourself. You put water. So I haven't done it in a while. So I wouldn't even remember at the top of my head how to tell you how to do it. But if you search it on YouTube, if you want to become Muslim, you can search up ablution or wudu. It's called WUDTHU. Yeah. Okay. So, and then, so you start with your hands 3 times. You go up to your arms. You work up to your head. Wait. No. Okay, so you do hands, arms, face, ears, head, feet, legs. Sometimes I be saying I don't know in my videos, and for the people watching, I know y'all like, well, didn't he say he just didn't know? Did he make that up? No, I did not make that up. It came back to me. A lot of knowledge. Sometimes when I'm speaking, like, I'll say I don't know in the moment, and then something just sparks in my head, like in my brain. And I remember, but it's the truth. So that's an interesting thing of why I be saying I don't know, and then I remember. I have short-term memory loss. That's crazy. I'm only 24, but it's gonna be okay. I'm learning the important shit and putting it where it needs to be in my life. So, yeah, a lot of these banned books, like my favorite book, The Grand Grimoire, The Red Dragon. That book is the book of Revelation. One of my favorite books of Revelation, because it discusses like, so me, it's it really, this part is really preference. Like it says you should fast and stuff like that, but me, like, coming from a Muslim background, I was already fasting and shit. Like I don't need food and shit, so I wasn't really fasting, but I was just eating when I really needed to eat. So in Muslim fasting, we would fast from sun up to sundown. So for example, it would be like it starts at like 6 a.m. and we eat around 8 p.m. or 7, even 9, even or 9. No, I was gonna say even 10. No, I don't think growing up I ever ate at 10 p.m. when it was time to eat. Yeah, so 7, 8, or 9. Yeah, for me. I'm in the U.S. So, but yeah, and then that book discusses like how to cleanse yourself and stuff before contacting spirits. But me, once I learned what I needed to learn, hey, I jumped right into it. I didn't play no games because I didn't rush into it. I learned what I needed to learn from it. And then a couple months later, I was all in. Because you can't dibble and dabble in something and not go all in. You know, once I got my feet wet, and you know, that was history for me. You know, like, mama, your boy's a man. You know, boy got real knowledge. But the reason they be banning these books is to keep the veil on humanity, on mankind, every son and all the children of Adam blind to this other side, so they don't advance. So they don't advance. But you have to advance. And my language in Wolof is Senegalese, my language. You have to advance. Ik faut na avancer. Okay? Ik faut na avancer. Si aduna. You must advance in life. You must advance. In life, you must advance. And if you have this type of knowledge, they told me you never lose. They told me you never lose. But yeah, you have to be self-willing in order for you to change your circumstances. You know, if you don't learn this type of stuff, you're just gonna be making money and then you die. But if you have a purpose, you'll make the money and you'll do what you gotta do with that type of knowledge, that if you're blessed enough to receive in this life, to help others and your family. You know, that's my whole goal, man, my family. You know, I can't help others if I can't help myself, and I can't help. Once I can help myself, then I can help my family. You know, so right now, I'm still working on getting me out. But like I've said, like this type of knowledge, I've never made money so easily like this. You know, when I was with Delta, yeah, for those 5 years, I was making bank. But, you know, I have something else now that I won't discuss, you know, but thankfully, I'm really grateful. I'm making great money, and I do Uber on the side. So, like, Uber Eats, I'm on Reddit. I'm in a community on Uber Eats. It's hilarious, you know, because I'm like, this is what y'all experience. I mean, I try my best to make on-time deliveries and stuff, you know, because those restaurants take forever, man. It's really not us drivers. Like, you gotta understand that if fogna banyu, you have to forgive us in my language. That's why some of my words don't be coming out right, because if you speak a couple languages, like, it's like, do I want to say it in this language or this language or this language? If anybody can speak 3 or more languages, you know what I mean. But seriously, look into the grimoire of Whether That Goes. Look into the Lemageddon. One of my favorites is the Lesser Key of Solomon. You know, because from a Muslim perspective, how it says Solomon was given the ability from Allah to control the jinn, and then from an occultist perspective, how Solomon controlled it from doing magic. Man, it intrigues me so much, because me practicing what I practice, this shit makes it easy for me. Like, it makes so much sense. That's what shit, like, no matter what religion you practice, if you have a lot about it, you can put that shit to use, and that shit's gonna help you. But this is the video for the night. You know, this is a celebration.